Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Tim.
How are we doing tonight, Jack?
I'm doing great. Got a lot on my plate coming up, but I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. How about you?
Very well. I've started out the year pretty strong. I've started a new project and been working on that. And now I'm just looking on. This is all about setting resolutions, carving out that time, like you said, an hour or two a week where you can work on your trust or what needs to be done or credit is what my goal is first. And then we did talk about setting up gifts for your family. I do have 5 kids, so I think whenever their birth month is, I thought up this one. Whatever their birth month is, I'm going to set up their trust. So that's my. So when for their birthday, I'm going to give them their trust, and so I know when the deadline is for that. I still remember their birthdays.
Right? That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Both of those things are amazing. You remember their birthdays and that, you're going to set up a trust for them. Wow, that's, are
Uh,
you really, once you get into this stuff, you realize, wow, there's nothing more really better that you could do for someone. And then, especially if you're there,
yep.
then they have questions and they're going through it. And I mean, it really, it's hard to explain all the things until someone gets into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my best to explaining it over the years and here is so on, but once you're doing it, you're like, where's that monkey on my back? The IRS, you're like, I
Yep.
feel a lot lighter without carrying around that monkey over there. He was quite a pain. He used to bite and stuff. You have to feed him all the time. And then you're worried about him up there. Oh,
Well, I'll tell you, and uh, you can relate to this a little bit because my first son, the first one always gives you trouble, right? So he always wants to push back harder than anybody else. But anyway, he's graduating with his master's in accounting. So
oh
you can
my
appreciate that. And so he does not have a trust and does not
goodness.
he listens to me, but you know how it is. It doesn't sink in until much later. How many times I got to say it? But when I give him this trust, it's probably going to sit there unused and not do anything for a while. But I'll just let
Well,
it sit
I'm
there and
gonna ask
let him
God
figure
to
that.
step in at this moment. I'm just gonna say, God step in, and these accountants, man, they're crazy, all of them. No.
Yeah, well, he is going into more of uh it's property management.
Yeah,
So he does accounting for large uh, groups of properties like shopping malls and strip malls and all this kind of stuff. So it's not really your CPA accountant with the shingle on the corner guy,
yeah.
but managing properties and stuff. So hopefully that he'll come across, that these things are in trusts or LLCs or whatever they are, and maybe he'll recognize that and put some together. But I will, um, feed that to him when he gets into it a little bit. But he graduates in May, so very exciting stuff. So
That
uh,
is fantastic.
yeah,
Any paperwork you can have, or a debit card, or everything works fine over here for so on and so on. There's Ray Gun. Wow,
yeah,
she made it, J Baba. Huh?
Sunflower, welcome, welcome. I am going to put up the code to jump in here if anybody does want to jump in. It's always welcome to join the conversation. Comments. Here we go. I'll put that in so you can click on that in the chat and jump on in if you want. And look at this, Alley Dad, 888.
Triple A. That's funny. All right.
So yeah, that's in the chat now. If anybody sees that StreamYard, you'll come backstage. If you give me a smile and a wave, we'll bring you in and
Uh,
say whatever you like.
Raygun and Alan, you all got to get talking because you're on the same trip. All right. Let me just say it so you both know. Secret code for you.
Ali.
Ali. All right.
Ali. Is that Ali? Ali Dad. I don't know. But anyway, they should come on the show. Say hello.
Why not?
Click that link. But anyway, yeah, resolution, and carving out the time to get the work done. That's my resolution. So I didn't know if you had a specific time for that. Raygun has a question. What does the 25 or 624?
25 or 624.
Sounds like they're in the same drum circle you are.
Yeah, that's we listen to the same drummer's beat, and that's for sure. 624 is 64. Come on.
Is that Chicago?
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's in on Amazon. There's a new Flash superhero movie or whatever, and Flash messes with time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's trying to save time. All right, here's Ollie, and that song is in the background. All right, yeah. Ollie, what's on your mind?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, guys! I'm actually in my car. I just wanted to say I've had Jack's program for a while. Unfortunately, not to discredit you, I haven't taken advantage or utilized everything you have to offer. I had a bunch of collectors come after me, and it's kind of a long story. I've talked to you before. I've had several counseling. The problem with it is, and Jack knows, it's this whole fear thing, right? And once you can let go of the fear and really embrace who you really are through the trust, you can create a lot of miracles. Mainly, I use the program to protect myself. And it's kind of a long story. I had some creditors come after me. They kind of skedaddled. They kind of went away. I know I've been listening to Jack before unfortunately, he's been hit a lot. And what I mean by that is anybody who's doing any kind of light work, anybody who's telling truth, anybody who's really giving you information, you know this, Jack. They don't like you.
Yeah.
They don't like you at all. They don't want this information out there. I cannot tell you how many times I have listened to Jack, not get connection, not get connected through, get information to be taken out. And, it's kind of interesting because whenever you have a lot of, and this is just for people in general, anybody you have somebody who is out there proposing truth, giving information, you're going to know when you hit truth because there's usually sometimes you get blocked from it. And to me, it's like an automatic signal. Sometimes when I get blocked from certain information, it's like, hey, there's something there. I need to start investigating. I need to start looking at this a little more thoroughly, whether it's a supplement, whether it's something about food, whatever it is. I'm just a natural investigator. And I will tell you this from my own personal experience. I got a lot of friends of mine who are doing the trust, who got into the program. They went to seek other people. And it's kind of interesting because your trust program, I'll share this little insight information. I have somebody that I won't disclose. She deals with people who are very, very wealthy. And I'm not talking about like millionaires. I'm talking about billionaires. And her experience was, yes, this particular trust that you can create, she actually recommended me doing this, right? She actually was talking about it, but she didn't know all. She understands how it works, right? And the way you kind of set it up, I kind of gave the information, but I kind of didn't go all the details. And she was like instructing me how to use it. But then I had a counseling session with you at the time when I was trying to sell my house. And you're like, because I wanted to put the house in the trust, but I had a loan on the account and I was selling the house. I don't know if you remember, it was a while ago. And it was an interesting story because when she told me, I realized something that you had said, because there was an escalation clause in there and you made it very specific. And so you know what you're dealing with, especially when, forgive me for saying this, because I know you went homeless for a while and you were literally at the lowest part of your life, which was the greatest learning opportunity for you to be able to understand how this really works. So you kind of been through the how should I say, you kind of went through hell a little bit through experiencing this so that you really understand when you tell someone this, it's not just information that, you understand how it works. And yes, they're using it, but again, you really got to go through the right source to understand how this really works, right? And so when you have the program and when I got the counseling and even though I have even the business account, I should be doing it. But that is something I'm trying to produce because I'm writing a book on spirituality. I'm also writing a book on business finance, but it's not about business for me. It's about health and about spirituality and about utilizing this in the business trust account because I want to be protected and also figure out a way where I don't get censored as well. But anyways, the whole reason I'm sharing this information with you is because I ended up getting all my friends to go through you and be able to go through the right sources of being able to do this. So if anybody's interested, if anybody's looking at, creating a business trust, if anybody's interested, I know that the information I got from you is valid. And yes, I will continue to progress my learning. I honestly wish that I can literally get like your head and all your brain information, just like suck it. It's like a vacuum, because your information is so valuable, and anybody who can utilize this without fear, they can become very powerful and be able to really understand how this works and be able to utilize it. Because like right now, I haven't worked in like 2 years. I have this thing where I'm doing everything on my own. I'm trying to establish myself. But again, it makes sense where there's so many things I can do right now because of the position I'm in. And I am going to be utilizing it as this new year comes. But I'm working on other things. Long story short, I'm saying that your material is valid and it's very effective, and I want to be able to utilize it more. And you're here to help people. And what just kind of surprises me is that a lot of people, they don't utilize it as well as they should. And that's me. They don't utilize it as well. But anyways, I just wanted to share that information. And yeah, the collectors, now it's a matter of, once I get my ducks in the row, I'm actually going to go after them. And I might not even need to go after them, but because I have the valuable information, they're not really coming after me anymore. I think they probably charge it all off, but still, I want to clear up whatever I have, because I have the valuable information to be able to do that with.
Yeah. An important thing. I mean, reason. Yeah, I got to nothing. I was homeless, and then I figured this all out. I was like, I'm not getting a job. I'm gonna figure, like, this system is wrong. You know what I mean? I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure out a solution. So I started in the debt thing, clearing credit, and so on, which I did. It was very successful for years, helping with it. And I still help people with it. But then it was like, okay, how do I, now that they're off my back, how do I have everything, including myself, so it can't be messed with? You know what I mean? So I can't be messed with. That's where the trusts come in. Okay, and the money's safe, it's solid, it's over in a trust, any assets, all that. There's that. But here's what you're hitting. And this is where, all this work eventually led to the whole spiritual situation, because of what you're describing. You like, maybe I could do the financial thing, maybe I could do some other parts of it, but eventually, like, they do mess with you at such a level, both physically, mentally, spiritually, all this stuff, that it, eventually leads to, wait a second, who did I sign up with? You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. And we only have that name. You see what I'm saying? So I recommend to people, really, because this is an inevitable part of the work, what you're going through. You got to have an altar with his image on it, and you start taking his name. In fact, at the Drum Circle, like, I test this technology. I do it other places, but that's where I test it. And if you say his name and make a circle with your foot and stand in that circle as you close it, what happens is the thoughts don't come in. They're projecting this difficulty onto you. You see what I'm saying? So you have to make it so that's not coming in anymore. That anxiety, that fear, and so on, that is taken away. Because otherwise you sort of hit this loop of it. You start to see just that, and that's all you're seeing and all that stuff. But really, you want to block it so you get peace, peace and quiet and some time and space, and then you start to heal. And then you're like, a new voice starts to come in. It doesn't have this anxiety.
That's actually really good for me to, because I have other things I'm dealing with. And one thing I will share is that sometimes when I talk to someone who's already done it, who's already been there, who's already experiencing this, and he's already creating this, and you're at that doorway where you're constantly creating this, it's amazing, because every time I talk to you, the minute I listen to your voice, and a lot of the times, sometimes I see there's not always a lot of people, but I mean, whether it's them or whatever it is. But again, just by listening to you and focusing on it, all of a sudden it's like it's kind of silly. You're protected through a higher power, and you've got this amazing product that works, and you have complete validation with someone who's living proof. And again, over and over again, you have all these proof, you have all this information, but you just, by being present with other people who are like-minded, it does raise your energy, and take advantage of what you're offering and really utilize it. So I try to keep in touch. Again, I've got so many other things that I'm working on, but this is something that's going to be a part of my life. And I commend you with everything that you've done, and the program that you're here for, all, and especially now, because Jack, right now, a lot of people need this. There are a lot of people who need to get this information, and it kind of breaks my heart that unfortunately there are a lot of debt programs out there, and you got this laid down, and not only that, you've got a trust that protects you through this whole process. And it just kind of surprises me that a lot of people aren't, getting involved and really utilizing this information that you have.
Well,
and again,
no, it shouldn't surprise you because of what you're saying.
Yeah, I know.
They don't want it to get out. It's really for very few people. And those people are going to be put through the ringer for doing this, as you are. And that's why I'm saying, you can't just sign the piece of paper and be with God. Because the ego gets crushed, you know what I mean? Like, my life, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get these things. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, but they're working for us, this whole other team against us. We need an adversary. Why? To crush our life and crush our ego. I was made homeless. Here's nothing. And then you're sitting there, literally knowing nothing. I'm on a picnic table. I have nothing. Who's your only friend? God is your only friend. You see what I'm saying? And if you're very strong, if you're, very purposeful, got a big ego, all that stuff, which got you this far, you know what I mean? So of course everyone got that far. That's how we got there. So that's God stepping in and saying, I'm going to help you by crushing your ego and crushing, like taking everything away. So you call out my name, and then you'll see, that actually is a component of this. That's not like something I'm just talking about. That actually makes it so you can then continue on your journey. You're not just stuck in a loop, like I'm saying right there. Like God will, you need my help? Great. Because you signed up with me. So you need my help. You really need it. It's in your heart. You need me. Then you really get infinite help. You know what I mean? You're with the highest power, so you need infinite help. So you need that. Like, this is common what you're experiencing. It's a necessary step in the process. Otherwise, you're just like, life is just this. There's no escape. There's no meaning. There's no purpose. It's all empty. You know what I'm saying? If it was still going on as is, or they show there's a purpose, there is a God who will now step in for you once your heart gets there. Like, okay, let me see. This has to be real, or else, life is purposeless, honestly, without it. So you have to make your prayers and set your, like, I'm serving God now. I'm not serving myself. So, that's why I've lived it. That's why I can share it. But that's why I understand where
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm a fan, and just by saying that, because I'm seeing things for myself right now, and I totally agree, and I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. What it all comes down to is really fear. It really comes down to the basics of fear. You either live your life through God, or you live your life in fear. And the truth is, you come in this world with nothing. You really do. You come into this world with nothing. And in truth, God has everything, right? And there's nothing that's holding you back. Nothing. When you come to that, you could be, unfortunately, you can be poor, but in truth, you're not poor. You got the whole entire world behind you. And whether you're homeless, whether you're wealthy, whatever that state of your mental condition that you're in, once you have God, the doorways are all open for you. And you have a way of utilizing the method to be able to attain and to be godlike, to be Christ-like, and to have that and to create that. So anyways, I'm actually in the car. I was going to go to the gym. I'm supposed to go to the gym, but I really wanted to thank you again for all that you do. and all that you stand for and everything that you say. And if I do have people that need help, the direction, I always say your name. Unfortunately, I'm not very popular. I'm kind of a little bit of a loner, but I always direct them, because the truth is, and I know you have another gentleman who's hosting the show as well, but I have seen a lot of miracles with what you do. It's amazing how you kind of pick up on the things and what you've done. And if I had any question, it would just be like, since I have the business trust, I have the trust account, I also have the bank, the what do you call it? Because you have so many different programs. I have most of them. I still haven't done it where I can just go. Maybe I shouldn't say, but basically I know that there are programs out there that you can get involved, like even get insurance, like Access Insurance. And since I have everything put in the trust, technically I don't have any possessions. I don't have anything in my name. I do have a storage unit, but right now, technically, if you look at it, everything's in. So if I wanted to qualify for, let's say, Access, or if I wanted to qualify, if I don't even show I have income, is there a method? Is that something I have to pay to get information? Like, is there an easier way just to go and say, hey, look, I want to qualify for Access, put my name down, put my information, put zero?
Yeah, you put zero because that's where the ego gets crushed. Because, well, first of all, you know the game, so you're saying I have nothing. You're saying that because that's the script they can hear. You know what I'm saying? And that opens the door. But you understand, right? They just need to hear pronouns, but you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about the person, the corporate fiction, the straw man. It has nothing. You want me to say I have nothing? That's good because it crushes your ego. You're just like, and then what happens after a while, your ego goes, wait a second, I don't have anything. It loses its way. It has no more ore in the water. And then, like I say, God takes care of you. What? Your ego just doesn't have a purpose anymore. You see what I'm saying? Which is good that you could it's an easier passage to go to God.
Do you have, just out of curiosity, I've had the trust now for, God, how many years? I've had it for more than 5 years. I believe it's been maybe three. I know I've had it for 3 years, but I've probably had it longer than 3. I've had it for approximately 3 years. I've had it for 3 years. I've had the program for, I think 4 years, 4.5 years, maybe close to 5, the whole program. And then I got the trust. I added, like, as time went on, I added more and more. So yeah, I'll definitely take advantage of it.
Let me continue with the answer to your question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The information, first of all, if you have it, is in the mentor program, step by step, each thing you want to do. But I would recommend starting with like the EBT card, because that thing can qualify you for other things. Plus, it's real money. It's like almost $300 a month, which is, that's like, yeah, dude, it's real money for food. You can use it anywhere, Walmart, deliveries, anything.
You can get an EBT card with just like signing up for an EBT card?
Of course. That's what I'm saying, because you have nothing. Your person has nothing. You see what I'm saying? So you write down all zeros. In fact, you'll get it in 7 days or less. Because
I didn't know that.
Dude, it's really important. That's the first thing to qualify for. It's really important to do it. If you don't have a proper address or whatever, there's usually a place around that someone's helping with that, like a nonprofit or something like that. You can look it up. You're like, hey, do you help with EBT? And you just go in and sign it, and then it's done.
And it's $300 a month?
Yes, dude, it's
Wow.
real money. It's real money. That's what I'm saying. It's real money. Plus, for example, you get that, and you could immediately, then how do you qualify? I'm sorry, you can get a free phone. So same phone that you have, same phone number that you have if you want it, you can sign up for, I teach how to do this, but last week we were on here doing it. I was like, look into Q-Link, and somebody did it while I was doing the show and completed the process and signed up for Q-Link during the show because they already had an EBT. So that thing, the number of your EBT, you're filling out the application for a free phone, right? You just give the EBT number, and each month they check against the EBT thing, and you never get a bill for your phone. Never, never, never. You don't ever get a bill. There's nothing you can go over because you're never getting a bill. And it just checks, you still have EBT, and then I get a message every month. Hey, we just refilled your free phone thing, I'm like, sweet,
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's great. So start there because it's
Okay.
super easy and it's real money. And then, like, when you want, oh, hey, I want to get healthcare or something like that, then that EBT could qualify you, and you're used to filling out an application. Like, I got an email the other day from the EBT place, actually in Florida, that said, "Hey, we noticed you don't make any money, so do you know you can sign up for free healthcare, federal free healthcare for $10 a month?" And I didn't sign up because God watches over my health or whatever. I never have health things like that, but some other people do, and it's $10 a month. You can sign up, and they walk you through it. So that's
Wow.
why you start with the EBT. It's real money. They go get your phone paid for, and then be like, "Oh, what else can I get?" You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really helpful stuff. You know.
Wow.
I don't think you can get international calls with it. I don't think you can do that. Ray Gunn, I'm sorry, but
What are you sorry about? That's awesome.
yeah,
You really get a free phone, for heaven's sakes.
no free phone, and you could never go over, never get a phone bill. I mean, it's each little thing helps a lot.
We've got Eric that says, hello, when I gift a car to the trust, will you have to get commercial insurance or is it personal allowed?
Your insurance won't have to change. Good question, Eric. This is how you do it. First of all, it's in the mentor program, walks you all through.
Let me get Eric in the room. Is that okay? Or can he get in the room? I'll leave and then let you guys talk.
All right,
Jack,
Alan.
thank you so much for everything, man. I appreciate it. You guys are great. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to say a prayer for you in the name of Jesus Christ so you get help. All right, my friend.
God bless you. Thank you,
Coming
guys.
on. All right, man. Eric, great question. Great question. Let's go through this, okay? It's in the mentor program, but I'm going to tell it to you. It's really simple, okay? You get the trust, right? So you're like, oh, I want to put the car in it. There are two parts to putting a title, right? Like a car into a trust, right? One is the title. The title goes in the name of the trust, okay? So the title switches over to the trust name, right? But the registration doesn't. That stays in the name of the person, okay? And so your insurance doesn't change at all. Doesn't change. It's the same because registration has a straw man, has a person driving it around. So before you had the trust, right? You got the person and you're like, oh man, like you or the person, like you're trying to protect your assets and everything, and they can always get to them, and you're always concerned, oh my God, what insurance do I need against this and so on, because you're like, I don't want to mess up. Maybe I'll get all my money taken, and you're all thinking like that. But this flips the script. You follow? The vehicle's in the name of the trust, and it's not operating it. Do you follow? So it actually has no risk to it. You see, nothing can happen to the vehicle itself because the trust isn't driving the vehicle. The person is. The person has nothing, right? And so now you wanted to take all the risk, right? Because what? It doesn't have a bank account, doesn't have any assets, so it doesn't have anything at risk. So yes, you keep the insurance and registration in the name of the person. Keep it as is. Your insurance can stay the same, or lesser if your vehicle's not worth much. Like, it's just, why carry much insurance? Just have it as cheap as possible. It's if something happens, well, that's God's fault anyway, because there are no accidents. And so also you won't have anything at risk because your person doesn't have anything. So yeah, great question, Eric. Great question. Allie.
And then Eric says he's a new subscriber, watched 3 of the videos so far, and doesn't have a trust yet. But it'll be going to the website tonight, so I might as well put up that website again, Liberty Aid Academy, and I'm sure that's in the link of the bio of YouTube and everywhere else. But yeah, there you have it, libertyaidacademy.org, and of course, you can introduce this one, Jack, what you do on Jesus Christ Trust.net.
Jesus Christ Trust.net. Thank you very much. This is, what I say is I hit everybody in the bottom chakra, right? Like, we're getting screwed on the money and everything like that, Your cars are the trust. Fantastic. So, yes, get all your money sorted and all that stuff. Use every hack I have. Do it all, But eventually everything is like leading to this, spiritual thing. And so if you get there, and you want all that information, of which there's a lot, then come over there, and I'm there for you too. So you know, both parts. All right, Alex, good to have you, man. Alex is always so positive, commenting on videos and so on. I really appreciate your positivity, Alex, over many years. Alex, seriously, you probably over the years you've probably been taking some heat for being so positive on my videos, and so I appreciate it. International Buzz on WhatsApp, but that's it.
That's right.
That's it, because especially like if you're in India or wherever, I go to India, and like people don't have the money for all the cell phones we got going on over here. They're all on WhatsApp, all of them. They all are. In fact, they hardly use the phone unless they're talking to a business that they know the phone number. But between people, they're all on WhatsApp.
Alex is adding that they're in South Florida, just 2 hours away.
All right, Alex, fantastic. South Florida is a place to be, I'm telling you.
But you said you were going to take a trip. You are going to India, right?
I mean, all right. I was going to say this before the show, if I totally forgot. I'm going to be in India for a couple months, so here and there and everywhere. I'm going to be there, but we're still going to be doing the show. I put it in my phone on the New York time thing that you can set it. It's going to be like a 5:30 a.m. It told me something like that, 5 or 6 a.m. But I'm up early sometimes.
Well, we can adjust it a little bit if we work out our schedule. We'll try and.
No, I think 7 is good for people. I don't want to change the tune for the people that tune in.
Right.
I think it's cool, and it's just once a week that I'm doing it, so I'm fine with doing it the way as is. But yeah, I'm a spiritual pilgrimage for the new year.
You'll just have to go to bed early the night before,
right? Or stay in bed later after the show or something.
Ali wants to shake your hand one day.
Thank you, Ali. I really appreciate that, man. I really do. We're doing over on JesusChristTrust.net this year. We're working on a spiritual pilgrimage. Some people I've kept the dates and location and stuff hidden from the public so that it's just the people that do it. It's not about me. It's just about them and having a pilgrimage with God and certain people that have been doing this work a number of years. The spiritual side becomes the important piece of it. And so for them, I kind of set that work off to the side somewhat so that those people can have that time and be with God. Because that's, after I did all this kind of work, it helped a lot of people. Eventually, you got to take a pause and take some time out to process this properly with God's help, and that's how I got propelled forward. And so I feel it's only fair for the people, it's kind of like once I get the information and do this and stuff, the weight of responsibility falls on my shoulders to then be like, well, I see where you are spiritually. This is what I recommend, that you take a pilgrimage, you take time to meet with God and so on. Not with me. I just help it with as a guide. I'm not God or nothing like that. Like God's the one that propels us forward spiritually. So I help with the framework of money, but also bend through the, being propelled by God. I understand the framework and can be a guide there for people doing it, and have, not ego in it. So I can be like, okay, and just set the stage for you to have that time to, one-on-one with God. Like there's no group of people coming to enlightenment. It's a one-on-one individual thing. That's the way it happens. You didn't sign up the trust with a group of people. We trust. We're all doing this together. No. Each individual has to, bear the individual responsibility of, hey, I'm going to change the way my finances are. I'm going to change my life. We're talking about New Year's resolutions here. So I'm going to do this going forward. You make an action plan. I'm going to do this and so on. That's how it changes. Like Tim was saying right before the show, he's like, okay, I'm going to take your advice and set aside an hour or two a week and just, do this work an hour or two a week. And then, what happens over a year? I'll tell you, some of the, some of the people that went the farthest, really kind of set aside time to speak with me, and let's do an action plan, and they would act on that before the next time we would speak, and they would go so far. It's amazing. I know people have different amounts of time and stuff like that. I get that, but whatever your time is, whatever your schedule is, if you can schedule, okay, this much a week, even if it's a half hour, an hour or two, I mean, it's amazing, because some of these processes are like, oh, let me fill out this application, you send it in. So maybe it takes 2 weeks or something. Well, the next week you're working on this. And then, and then what happens is you fill that pipeline, and you still are. So these things start coming in the mail, or these approvals and stuff. And you're like, oh, yeah, I got an EBT. That's $300 a month. They get a free phone. They send the chip in the mail. You plug it in your phone, and you're like, no phone bill forever. You're like, yes. And, so you fill that pipeline, and these things start happening. It really, it becomes very real.
Ray says the spiritual pilgrimage is to thank God for the success in gaining the wealth, not in a bad way, that to enjoy wealth after years of hard work and suffering.
I agree completely, and she is using the word wealth in its broadest sense of the term. The wealth of spiritual information, the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of time back. That you're not giving with both, filling out IRS paperwork, or the anxiety and the fear and the, just all that nonsense just dissipates over time as these things start coming in the mail. Hey, this trust works. I got the debit card, and I paid for some gas, and it worked. Everything works. You know what I mean? Like, every time you go through one of those things, it's like, oh my God, this works too. And this works. You get to the other side, and you're like, okay, well, who did I sign up with? You sign up with God, and you finally get to that, spiritual part, and you're like, okay, I have someone to thank here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I did, like, thank God, we get to the truth. And then, the forum, where many people are now, people get in there, is so, we help each other there. There is a group of people that's helping each other, has setting up that forum has really made it so, because we're all living individual different lives in different places. I'm in Florida, other people in Texas, these other places in different states, and they're doing different things. And so they come up with different hacks and different methods and so on, and they're always putting that proof in there. So then in that way, we have a group of people that's kind of helping each other out, support each other through doing this. Is wonderful. And I know, and the spiritual pilgrimage, what she's talking about, which she's currently, steady on right now, it becomes really a moment that clears up what Allie's going through. You thank God, and God thanks you back by giving you peace of mind. It's amazing when all that, clutter goes out of your head and your heart, and you just, it's much more peaceful, much more peaceful life, what she's describing. And that's what we really, if you want a New Year's resolution, I mean, having peace of mind, I mean, it's really impossible to describe, because they're always like, be afraid of this, be afraid of everything on the TV and mass media and social media. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, you need us because blah, 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 blah. It's nice to have that just completely tuned down and take it for what it is, a bunch of nonsense, basically.
I'll tell you a quick story about the dumbest thing I ever said. It was to my dad. I was in college at the time, and I come home. I think I told you many times that I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters.
Wow.
And so I come walking in back from college, and he had a stroke, and he's sitting in the kitchen recovering, and he was an orthodontist and had his office in the basement of the house. So anyway, while he was recovering, and he recovered and went back to work, but his friends, his clique of guys, came over to cover his patients for the weeks. 5 guys, right? A different guy every day of the week. and the guys would come over and park in the back. One guy drive up in a BMW, another guy's driving up in a Mercedes, whatever. They're all, good guys and very successful. My dad drove a Rabbit, a diesel Rabbit, and so me, the idiot, comes in and says a stupid thing. I said, Dad, what, these guys are coming and help you out. This is great. I mean, what are they doing? Because first guy drives up in a BMW, next guy drives up in a Mercedes. He goes, that Mercedes guy, he has 3 kids. That BMW guy, he has 5 kids. And so here I'm the 8th out of 11, and I was like, all right, never mind. That was such a dumb thing to say. And of course, when you're 20 years old, you say a lot of dumb things. But
well, you know what? You learned a lot by saying it.
The second he said that, that's how I rank myself. And thank God I wouldn't be here if he stopped at 3 so that he could drive a Mercedes. So right. It was just that was the lesson I learned, and definitely ranks as the dumbest thing I've ever said.
But it gave you the most clarity, so wasn't it?
It did. Well, when you do dumb things, you learn the most.
You do. The mistake is the way that humans learn. We had a Rabbit diesel when I was young too, and boy, that thing wouldn't go anywhere quickly, which was great for teenagers. And it was like 50 miles to the gallon, so it was good on all accounts.
Yeah.
It was a yellow one with a black interior. That's great, man. That's funny.
Yeah, it was a good time, and he loved to drive it because it had such great mileage. But of course, there was so many of us that when he wanted to go somewhere, he's like, doesn't matter, get in the trunk there, that little hatchback part, and he'd put that down, and 2 of us be back there, 3 of us in the second row, another one up there. So we got 7 people into a 4-seater car. It's silliness, but everyone lived a lot differently. Now he'd be arrested for that, not having everybody in a 6-point strap, as little kids and stuff.
That was a lot different. People were really from the heart a lot more, I would say, back then. I had some different friends back then with large families, actually, and it was amazing to hang out with them and see how they operate and stuff. Like, one of my best friends he was one of 13, and he was about 2/3 down. I mean, he was. It was maybe about 4th from last one, I think, something like that. 3rd from last one.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's amazing to interact with those large families. Another great family too, that they had like 5 children out in New Mexico. They had a 1-room house, and they were the most get along, happiest people that maybe I ever met. It really, when you don't have that much and you have each other, like, you end up getting along, and sure, you have this or that tiff or whatever, but you're really super tight group, and that's what I've always found with the large families. So
that was a question I was asked a lot, like, who's your favorite brother or sister? And I was like, I don't have a favorite one, because if one starts to annoy me, I just go to a different one.
Right.
I leave you alone for a couple days or weeks or whatever, and then that issue goes away and you just get back after it. So
that's wonderful. Yeah. So it's really a different way to think, and you can't understand. You can only see from the outside when you visit with like a crew like yours. It's really something to see.
Yeah. Ali says, "Where's the information on the spiritual pilgrimage?" Is it on
I actually took it down from the website on JesusChristTrust.net, because it's all planned out and happening and stuff like that. So if it happens again in the future, it will be up on JesusChristTrust.net. And I do a weekly Sunday at noon video there, like a service or whatever. So pay attention over on that channel or YouTube, and if it comes up, it'll be over there, Ali. Okay?
And Melanie's asking, wondering why you choose to use an irrevocable EIN instead of revocable.
Well, first of all, the IRS sees a revocable trust as a tax scam. So, and it is. Because first of all, we're talking about revocable and irrevocable only in the regards to a trust. Okay. So it's not like it's such a, two words that have a lot of weight to them in the English language, but they are have a very specific meaning in regards to a trust. And no one should ever, for any reason, have a revocable trust. Never. Because what does it mean? Revocable means, okay, and this is what it means. I can take my assets from this entity, let's say your Persian LLC or whatever, and put them in the trust, but I reserve the right to put those assets right back in the same exact entity, which kills the purpose,
Right.
for doing it. And so that's why the IRS would rightly see it as a tax scam. Oh, well, you're saying you might put it back into this taxable entity. So isn't it actually still actually in there? That's the way
Right.
they see it, you see? So irrevocable, as far as a trust goes, only in regards to a trust, that's all we're talking about, right? In regards to a trust means I put in the trust and I'm not going to put it straight back into my personal LLC, because why would I do that? It would get taxed again. Like this is the whole point of doing it, you see? So you could do anything with an asset once it's in a trust. It's not saying, in other words, it's irrevocable that you're going to put it in there, but as trustee, which you're going to be trustee, they could choose to do whatever you want with assets, but you would never put them in a taxable entity ever again, because that would mess up the whole reason why you did in the first place. So what they have us doing mentally, this is a mind game. You see what I'm saying? You're like, revocable, oh, I might want to undo the whatever, no, you don't want to undo the tax issue, which is all we're talking about, you see. But you're like, irrevocable just sounds like forever, like
Right.
it just doesn't have any meaning in what we're discussing. So you take the weight of those two English language words, you throw them out the window, you're like, okay, it just means this one specific thing, and which you would never do anyway. So good question, Melanie, because they have us under mind control. And so I'm just like, let's just unspin that ball of yarn and straighten it out. No more problem.
I
So
was thinking about revocable and irrevocable. It's like if you are in a room and you want to put your asset in the other room, you can lock that room up and you're the only one with the key. The revocable one is that somebody with enough power can unlock that door and claw it back. If the IRS says, no, we see it right here, you're close enough, we're just going to open that door and take you back or charge you taxes or whatever it is. Irrevocable means that's locked up and no one's getting in there to get it. And
100%.
you're the only one if you being the trustee hold the key. If you want to make somebody else the trustee, that's your decision.
That's a way better analogy. I love the way you explain that, Tim. 100% correct.
Life in a body. I have a vehicle insured under a trust, and the insurance company charged me more for business insurance, and my person is listed as an additionally insured.
Yeah, go back to the way it was and put your person on the registration, Mike, and then you won't have to pay extra for insurance. And I hope you're listening to what I said as to why, right? Because your person don't have anything. So that's what they got us wrapped up in this mental game, Oh, I want to put the insurance in the trust, but that isn't whatever happens to the vehicle, then your actually other assets are at risk. You see, this way, that asset, the vehicle can't drive itself because it's a trust. You, i.e. your person, is driving it, and they're separate entities. And so maybe your person's at risk if something happens, which it won't if you're in the trust. But if it did, then you don't have anything to give anyone. So that's that,
I like that. Jack, can you talk about the certification of trust? Some banks ask for them. Most will take the declaration, but it would ever be more beneficial to create a certification of trust?
That's just like a summation that some banks say, hey, we want a certificate of trust. And, that's like a half-page document that you could Google and just fill in your information if you want to bank with whoever says that. I have never personally run into that with any bank that has ever asked me for that. Other people have been asked for that, but I've never been asked for it ever myself, ever. But it's really just a summation And you could Google like, certificate of trust, and it's just literally writing down a couple pieces of information on one half a piece of paper that's a summation for them, which, okay, if the banks are that lazy, okay, fine. But you feel
And do
free.
you have to get that notarized or
You
something? Or
might
it
have
depends on the requests of the.
you might have to do that, but fine. And that's really if you want to bank with them,
Right.
which is fine. I recommend people with their first bank account for the trust, they go where they're currently banking. So let's say your bank where you're currently banking asks for that. You could create it. You could go into the forum too and be like, type that in there, because I think other people have made a certificate of trust. So you could go in there in the forum and like, hey, has anyone made a certificate of trust? How'd you do it? What it looked like? And stuff like that. But it's a very, very like half page, very small amount of information, just stuff straight from the trust. Your name is trustee, the name of the trust, when it started, just a summation of the basics and address. It's like hardly any information on there. And then maybe it's signed and notarized, I don't know, and that's just if you want to bank there. It's not really for any other purpose that I've ever heard, ever. It's only for very unusually a certain bank asks for it, not for anything else in any other financial situation of any kind, not insurance, and none of the stuff you'll ever do will you use a certificate of trust for anything ever. Strictly opening a bank account at some banks, that's the only thing it has a use for.
Excellent. Well, at the bottom it says like, share, and subscribe. Just wanted to remind everybody, and of course, there's plenty of information on libertyaidacademy.org, or if you want to visit the live stream on Sundays and visit jesuschristtrust.net. Good stuff. When I didn't ask you the day, I don't know if you want to reveal that, but when are you going to be traveling? Soon. We have to set up this new schedule.
I'm going to be getting on a plane tomorrow morning, so
that is very soon.
Very soon, and I'll be away for a couple months. I'll be back in mid-March, so I'll be gone for like 8 or 9 weeks. So, but I'll be getting some videos up from over there and showing some interesting things and all that. So, I think for the people that have really done this a while and kind of mastered the financial end of it and stuff, they're really 100% focused on the spiritual side. So, who else is doing that properly? So I really feel like those few, that are really, really geared on that and focused on it, it's like a dozen people doing it. So, I really feel like I should give them that information too. And then I hear 12 is a good number that you have around you, and they go out and spread the word. It's in a big book out there. So, that might help with them, because eventually you kind of hit this wall that Ali was talking about, like if you don't use the spiritual work too, after a while you hit this fear and anxiety and this kind of like wall that we have programmed into us that you're not aware of until you keep butting up against it, and then you're like, what is this thing over here that's stopping me from living my life? So removing that can be very fruitful for really doing what is our life's purpose and being happy while we do it, instead of nervous, anxious, fearful, blah blah blah.
Absolutely. Very much so. Well, that's fantastic. That sounds like a great trip. That's going to be very exciting. But yeah, it's trust resolutions. So it's just taking the time to, get one step closer to your end goal. And I know mine was just setting up my trust, and I did get paid into my trust. That's great, but there is more that I want to do with it. So I just have to keep plugging and going forward. And
that first step is so big. You're like, nobody's gonna mess with my money. I don't have to pay taxes. You're like, what? Yes, and you can sit there and process that for as long as you need to, because you did so much. But then you're like, wait, you get $300 a month for food. I gotta feed a lot of mouths around here and stuff. Like, you start doing these other things that they're helpful too.
What do you do if your job of income is not able to get you a 1099 or any other form? Is there another
Then
form?
then your assets will stay safe over there, with the trust, whatever they are, whether it's money, home, etc. But of course, people come to this information, they didn't have it before. You see what I'm saying? And then what you do is you start to look for another situation. Still doing what you're doing or something that you really wanted to do. Uh, I mean, it's really, you can do this as far as you want. I remember one of the first people ever back in 2016. She signed up with a trust. You can use a W-9, from your question. I guess you understand that W-9, 1099. But she was like, she was doing a W-2, W-4 employee, and I think I've talked about this before in the show, but she was one of the first people that ever did the trust. And she's talking to me. She had an appointment with me, and she's telling me, "Oh, hey, I signed up with your trust. Congratulations!" And she's like, "I quit my job that day." I'm like, "Wait a second, I didn't say to do that." She's like, "No, no, keep listening." I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." And she's like, "And the next day, God gave me another job, just like what she was doing. She was doing helping be the administrator for some a group of doctors and so on, and she was more interested in like a natural health and so on. And like literally the next day, she got a job doing the same type of work for a group that was more natural health oriented and stuff. And she was able to use a W-9, and they paid her that way. And she immediately got out of taxes, got into better work. She's like, "Well, I signed with God, so I figured it'd be all worked out." And she's like, within 24 hours, boom. So, I'm just saying, like, when I talk about the programming holding us back, it can hold us back to that level too. You follow what I'm saying? So you take in this information, you use the trust, you see what it can do, and you see what benefits you're, missing out on by being in a W-2 and W-4 situation. You start to look around, and then if you start praying and looking around, you're like, "Oh, wait a second, I can do this." And then all these other dominoes hit, and you get all these other benefits. So don't give yourself a hard time. You came to the right information. You get what you can get done. You open up a trust account. Hey, you do this. And then you're actively looking for something that is a better situation in that, that you have the knowledge, you have the trust of it, and now you're like looking. Before we didn't even know to look. So you can't get down on yourself for that, You're in the situation you're in when you come to this, that's okay. But now you get it, you open up your trust, and then you're looking, and then God provides. So
Excellent. Last question here. Does it make sense to use this trust for trading stock options, or is it better to use a business trust so we can write off the losses?
No.
Who's writing off anything?
No. You would use this trust. Whether this is a business trust or personal trust, those words are misnomers. They have that stuff goes out the window. Those are like taxable entity terminology that has nothing to do with this. You could run businesses with this. Doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to be taxed, and you're not going to have to fill out any forms for the IRS ever. So yes, you should be doing stock options through a trust. Yes, get it wherever you have it. Like wherever you're banking, wherever you're doing a stock option, you would open an account there. Hey, how do I open a trust account? Click. Like I have one at Schwab. I've had one at TD Ameritrade. Other people have them other places. So yes, you would use this type of trust, so you would never have to pay taxes or report ever. So yeah. And great question. And I know Tim has another gig that starts at 8. And I want to be responsible towards that. That was a great question, Eric. A lot of good questions tonight from you, Eric, and other people. Thanks for dropping in. But I want to, 7 to 8 every Thursday, right? And Tim is good at cutting off at 8, and I really appreciate his help. This is what he does professionally. He set up his website in a new year, and so I'm looking forward to when he's going to say, "Hey, this is my website. If you would need help with your video," so we're almost there. That's what I'm hearing for Tim. And he's helping out. He's a great professional at this. If you need help like this, he is the best one to help you. So look for that for Tim coming up. Happy to help, Eric. But we're going to jump off. Tim, Happy New Year, man. Thanks for doing this show. You're always so good to have here. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk soon about next week, too, after you're settled in.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.